Hello, listeners and loyal followers of the Green Grassroots of Football podcast. And now, part 2 of mentoring. Well, funnily enough, you mentioned that you give it 24, 48 hours, which leads on to this next point I've got written down here, that the mentor should not judge. And that 48 hours, if you've seen something, allows you to be a bit more dispassionate and allows you to see it in the cold light of day and go, rather than, because you see so many things, and we'll look at the Premiership, and I love Liverpool, but Jurgen Klopp's reactions, he's very animated, whereas 24, 48 hours later, calmer. And that's how I think if you're, as a mentor, you have to have that. You can't go in, we can't walk into someone up pavilion after a game and go up to a coach that we're mentoring and go, you did this and you should. You have to think, okay, take a step back, calm down, and let's talk to them at training the following week even and say, okay, let's talk about what happened last week. Here's my suggestion, this went well, this perhaps could have been done this way, but you can't judge them in any way. That's part of the mentor relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can, and it is, as I said, again with football and stuff, you take away from the workplace thing, which you try to teach them for the majority of them, is Monday to Friday. The football is that 1 hour, and if it goes wrong or stuff, it can seem... It's devastating at times, and because people put a lot of effort into it. Like I said, you love Liverpool. I'm a big Liverpool fan. But to be fair, on a Sunday, the most important, if say Liverpool were playing and Fry's girls under 10s and Fry's
under 8s and
16s,
I'll be here.
But the most important results for me, for my happiness, is how Fry's gone, and Liverpool would be the third choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm with you on that.
The passion and stuff, and what you have for them, because you do want them to succeed. You can't argue or think that when you get a win or a hard-fought draw against a team you usually lose again, does mean a lot. And if you lose games, it is tough.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because the next point to discuss is that the mentor needs to be passionate.
Yeah, and I think they do.
But that is, I've always said that my boys and now my girls' teams, if even if England are in cup finals, my team are playing, I'll be at my team.
Yeah.
And if I'm supporting as a mentor, whether it's to the boys or the girls or supporting the manager there, if it's my team, I'll be there to offer that support and guidance, and I'll go back and find out how England got on later, because that team is more important. I'm more passionate about that, and that also goes to, if I'm mentoring either the players or the coaches and managers within that, I'm there for them. Yeah. That's the first responsibility I have. So. And you have to be. I think to be a mentor, though, you have to, because the extra time you're giving up,
and you have to give. I think, in fact, I know. So since the boys started playing under 7s, and we're now to under 16s, there's only been one game where both have not played. In that. And that was the only reason that was because they were rotated. It was their weekend of being rotated out when they're under 12s, under 13s.
We had loads of this. There was a 9-a-side. We had 16. We had 9-a-side, and we had 16 players, and we realised we had too many.
It was February the 4th or something like that, and it was cold, so I was glad that they missed it. But we've always had at least one there. I mean, there was, and it's installing, say, with Brad and Coy, that passion and that thing to be part of a team, to be part of a thing. Again, you can look at Bradley last year at Portishead when he was always on the sidelines in crutches. and we went down to 9 players, and he came on for 10 minutes. He,
Yeah.
he couldn't run about or do much.
Oh, absolutely. He still made the effort
Yeah.
to come on. And for those listeners who are just to listeners aware, he was one of 3 who did something like that for the team, and all 3 were rewarded at the end of the season for that, which I think is the right thing to do as well. You as a, whether it's mentoring adults or mentoring the children, you also have to reward that enthusiasm and that commitment as well, I think, in some way. And we made sure that for all 3 we did.
And now I think generally for that, the under 6, it's taken a long time. And even this weekend, for one thing, we were down to 11 or 12.
Well, 11 at start.
Yeah, and one
was late. One was late arriving on his scooter.
But he got there.
He did.
It's that you are now installing that teamwork, that ethic of being part. You're letting people, potentially and that's when they go into a job. If you're working for a family firm and there's 4 or 5 of you, well, if you can't be bothered to go in today because FIFA's out or whatever, and you've not booked it, you have to generally turn up and try and give your best. You don't have to get on with everybody that you play with, work with in life, but you do have to respect them. And I think a big role of what we try to do at Fry's, and I think a lot of grassroots, is the respect for the and unfortunately we can go on with respect to referees and stuff like a different thing, but you've got to teach them. And I think something which we do at Fry's well, it's very, very rare you hear that we haven't, as a team or a club, shown respect to the opposition or thing. And again, what we're teaching the kids and stuff is, we do the chips here we're us and Red Falcons here. I don't know of any other club within Bristol that offers that to every team.
No.
After games in youth football.
No, certainly not youth football. I know some adults teams at a certain level do, but that's actually, I think, sort of part of the league. League must sort of thing. You have to as part of the league rules. Whereas we put it on as a welcome to our club.
And I'm hoping it's teaching the kids. It's a learning thing.
Teach the boys and girls. This is about welcoming respect and welcoming others to your community.
No matter you win.
This is your home. You welcome others into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a big part of why we do that. And so again, that's mentoring of the children, and again of of being a community club.
And you have to be passionate to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Go back to communication then. How often should the communication occur between the mentor and the mentee? Now, I'll actually suggest as often as required.
Yeah, I think. I mean, there is the potential that.
So it may end up being, say it was you and I, and it was when you're starting your coaching journey, and at the beginning of your coaching journey, more often than now, because you're much more experienced, and you wouldn't come to me now. Very rarely we talk about a coaching matter that you would ask me about something, because you're so much more experienced, and you're finding your own things as well, and you've got a few other people you can now turn to as mentors if you need to. Whereas back then we would have talked more often for that. So I think I think as often as is required.
As often as required is like I said. I mean, at the moment, the girls. I mean, I've been lucky. I said you're taking on the 8s. The gentleman who's taking on the under 9 girls at the moment is an FA qualified person, so he
very experienced.
He didn't need much, if any, to be honest.
In fact, he'd probably be a very good mentor to both of us.
Oh, he'd be a fantastic person to be, and potentially somebody we could get on
because of his experience. Another one get on the podcast.
Under 11s, those were the 3 that I did mentor. Like I said earlier, with communication, it was the first 6 to 8 months. It was hourly. It felt like minutes, but I say hour. And now it's once a month. It's hardly, because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them. They're experienced in their own. And again, I suppose the role of a mentor for when you're doing is getting the right person. You've got to get people, and going back to the person who it didn't work. I didn't put them into that team. That was done by somebody else and I had to work with them.
Yes. brought
do-
in by the previous manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do have to get in people. You don't have to. Oh, as I said, it's not agreeing but have the same philosophy, the same outlook. If say somebody came in, I don't know. If say Jurgen Klopp came in, and obviously his mentality and his thing is win, 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 win. Even if he had no experience at football or whatever, if that somebody of that that mentality might, it wouldn't work as a man because what we're trying to do, if you're out to win at all costs, then the dynamics wouldn't work
No.
with what I'm trying to do, how I look at things. So you do have to have that. Certainly with the adults, children is it's everybody. But with
Well, so that's an interesting
you have
point.
to get
then.
on with them.
That's an interesting point. Then the mentee has to have a certain mindset because if they come here with the mindset that we are here to win every single thing, we're here to, and you're of the mindset we're here to provide football to the community, we're here to be a community club. Is it going to work?
Probably not.
Probably not. So yeah. So and our club is very much the community-based club, just as Red Falcon is, and just as I think Catesham over the road is. Whereas we know clubs just down the road, not in Catesham, there are a few of them who are very much win. And I'm not disparaging those clubs. They tend to be ones based around youth teams, based around supporting adults who are in higher level local step 3 well not step 3 but step 4 step 5 of adult leagues, and so the youth teams are very much geared towards getting good quality players into those. So that's why they are not win at all costs, but it's geared toward winning. So that's it. So as mentors, we are guiding adults who are our way of thinking. If you come in here with we're here to win, this is not the club.
No.
So we're not going to be. To be honest, we're not going to be able to provide the guidance you want.
No, I mean.
So I'm not going to say don't come to us. I'm just going to say we're not going to be able to provide the guidance you want, and the club isn't going to support that way of playing.
And Fries, and you can have success and do well your previous teams have.
My first team did very, very well. Yes.
And my current girls team are one of the top teams in Bristol. But it's not win-win. That is not the most important thing. You can get success with it by, like you said, the passion, the commitment, the effort. And you might not be a team that maybe at under 8s, under 9s, under 10s, when it doesn't matter who are top. But you might be in that top division, under 14s, under 15s, under 16s. Again, doesn't overly matter. Matters a little bit more to be up there then, because you've got that team spirit. Having that team spirit, that to able to work together, is what you're aiming for, and is what you want the mentees, certainly for the children and what you adults. You want. Basically, in an ideal world, you start with 12 to 13 when you go under 7s, under 8s. You want the majority of them there at the end. I mean, again, there are clubs, certainly with the under 16 boys, there's certainly 2 or 3 in that age group that have been in the top, but win at all costs, who have now folded.
Yes. I think I talked to you about my first team where, by under 16, the team who'd won the league more than anybody else didn't even make it to under 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't even make it.
So.
And the second team who were there challenging, either winning it or coming runners up, they were close to relegation by that last year for the same reason. Players no longer wanted to be there. So,
and you hear of coaches and stuff that, and again, you could go back and it's a thing of poaching and coaching, or being a that they will, ex left back, well, you're the best left back I've seen, we'll have you, go there for a season, I found a better left back, and you're at the club. Are you mentoring that child then?
No, of course you're not.
Are you? So it's an ethos thing, but if somebody like that came in, I couldn't work with them, to be honest. I'd struggle.
So yeah, so we're not saying don't come here, but we're saying that it'd be very hard, I think, for mentors and a mentee relationship.
Yeah.
Certainly within our club, they could probably get certain guidance, but not the guidance, not the. I think they could get certain guidance off of us, but not the full, well-rounded guidance that we tend to offer the most people we talk to. And I'd say that, and I say we, I don't mean just you and I mean anyone who acts as a mentor within this club.
I think that I can think of.
There's
within
quite a
this
few
club, there's
people
a
who act
lot
as mentors.
That do a
Yeah.
lot, and I think. Sorry, I think. And there's a lot within grassroots. I mean, even the leagues, you can argue. I look, you get advice from them. And there is a gentleman within the Bristol Girls League who we've had conversations over things while he's now working in Dubai, as my phone bill testifies. But he also went out of his time to call me, so I imagine his phone bill was just as, to give me some advice on stuff. So, but he's out in Dubai, as I said, so it's, there are lots and lots of good people within, and it's an amazing, I don't think, as I said, there are people who I have disagreements with, who I would do things differently within Fries, within other teams. But I respect each and every one of them.
Yeah.
You give up X amount of time. And generally, I cannot think of one person who's out for themselves.
No, exactly.
So you get a certain type of person who gets involved with it, because you give up your time and
We have had them in the past in this club. I can, when I very first go, I'm going back 30 years, there was a manager who'd drive to Weston-super-Mare every Saturday and pick up 4 players.
Yeah.
And won the league every year. But yeah, every Saturday drive to Weston-super-Mare, pick up 4 players, come back, drop them back afterwards, yeah. Because they were the best 4 players in that area. And won the league every year, don't get me wrong, every year, and had the best players.
And was
in
committed,
Bristol.
I suppose, to go and get them.
But they won the league. But
Is it the right? Yeah.
But yeah,
Is it for himself or?
Well, his boy was in that team.
Yeah, and again, as I said, I mean, they said you look at our team, the under 16 boys, and I think we've won 1 tournament.
I'm not sure. One of up at least 2.
And we definitely won a Spring Cup or Autumn Cup.
Yeah, of course we won. Of course we won the Spring Cup. Of course we did. Yeah.
So, but in 10 years,
One us up Spring Cup. Won a Spring Cup. Couple of tournament runners up as well.
but as winner, and for Bradley and Corey, they wouldn't have had it any different.
They've enjoyed, as long as they've enjoyed their time playing.
And again, how it improves, and
Because there are some teams who win nothing.
and hopefully don't listen to this, but for the majority of the time going through, probably Bradley was ahead of Corey. I would almost argue now Corey is just as important or ahead of Bradley in a lot of ways. 'Cause, I mean, Corey,
As manager, I'm not going to respond to that.
no, as Corey is probably 9 games out of 10 the smallest child on the pitch. He's certainly the lightest, but he's also probably the bravest. He will always go up for I mean, how many headers does that boy win in the penalty box when there's this child twice the size of him? Because he doesn't back away, and he gives 100%. But that's something he's learned from football. If that wasn't for football yourself and everybody else and his teammates, he wouldn't have that now. He now has that self-belief in himself. Doesn't matter how big, and again in life, it doesn't matter who you're up against, how big, how tall, or how strong. If you give 100%, and he gives every time he walks out on that pitch 100%, and other parents have and everybody knows with Corey, well, no matter what, he will give you 100%. I'm not saying Bradley doesn't, because Bradley does as well. But no matter what, he's out there.
Mm.
And again, this thing of he will give. Not only will he give that, but he's there week in, week out. Doesn't miss training sessions. And that's what you're trying to install in all of them.
In all the children, as you sort of mentor them and guide them in life, that's exactly the sort of thing you're trying to sort of instill in them, isn't it?
Yeah.
That commitment. Yeah. So as you guide them, you hope that all of them take that on board.
And like I said, it's not. I said that there are others I can think of.
Well, do you know what? Sorry, I was going to interrupt, but this is my next point. Actually, the mentor provides psychosocial support, which includes role modelling, which is exactly that thing, emotional support, active listening, which I think we do, and also career support towards both goals and aspirations. And, in all those things, I think that last little anecdote with regards to Corey, I think covers quite a few of those.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. Towards his goals, his career, all those things go towards his development. That last statement about the mentor provides, I think, covers a lot of that with what you just said about Corey. Yeah, exactly that.
I mean, we said with Corey, we mentioned obviously with his autism and stuff like that. I thought he'd be giving up football by the time he was 12 years old, and he's now. I said earlier, he's now part. As long as he does his grades, he's good. So you're going to have to study, Corey. Make sure you keep doing that. He has been accepted for the Robbins College Academy.
Brilliant.
And so he's not going to be playing for Bristol, but he will be playing for a representative Bristol City team next year.
Which is brilliant. Yeah, as long as he studies.
Yeah,
Corey, you've got to study, and you, Bradley.
Yeah. And so for them to have the Bristol City shirt on next year, which they all being well will be, that'll give him such a boost. And again, for them and what they're doing in life, it'll keep them on hopefully a good path. They won't go down drink, drugs and all. And again, I think that sort of thing is that you're making sure they don't go down the wrong path.
Yes.
Is a big part of what we do.
Yes.
And so hopefully, they'll be doing that. But that's something I think for yourself as Corey's mentor. You've been a huge part in him and Bradley getting to that point next year that they will be, they're not at a standard that they'll get to Bristol City's first team or the academy or stuff like that. But they will also, they've got, they'll be putting on a Bristol City shirt next year. Yeah. That's who they'll be playing for. So that's something. And again, you look at mentors and it doesn't have to necessarily be the coach. A good example is one of your players from probably your last team, I assume, is Theo Linden. Got man of the match at Melksham. Played for Bristol Rovers Academy again. Is in his last year there. Is as close to being a Bristol Rovers signing for them next year. But he is a lovely lad as well.
Yes.
He's grounded. He shows respect to everybody. He talks to people in the right way. He's polite, kind. Will do anything for anybody. And so somebody like Theo is a lovely role model.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to a stage of being, as close to a professional footballer. Hopefully he gets that in the next 12 to 18 months. But what a lovely role model.
Yes, absolutely.
And, he will be an amazing mentor to a lot of people going forward.
Yes.
But he's learned that. He started off, obviously, with yourself.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he had to leave because they moved houses. But, yeah. Sorry, Jane, I'm going to blame you for that one. Okay, so moving to sort of the final stages, we'll talk about our own experiences. People who've mentored us. I know I said like myself with you, but you've had others. I was my first early years. There were two very key people. A gentleman by the name of Jeff Sherwood, who I think played for Bristol Rovers or was involved in Bristol Rovers back in the early days, and a guy called Mark Little, who's well known around Catesham. My first year, especially, without their advice and guidance in running the team, I wouldn't be where I am now. It was that very first year, I didn't know anything what I was doing. I was just turning up, saying, "Okay, boys, we're going to run around here and do this." And they very quickly sort of saw that I was struggling, came along and said, we can help, we can advise. And not just, they didn't take over, but very much say, try this, try that, try this. And that was very, very helpful. Also in that first team, I had a guy called Dave Kavanagh. His boy played almost, he joined the next year. And his boy was like, not the regular sub. He was either starting and coming off or starting a sub and coming on. But he was good enough because, like I said, we were in the first division. We got 2 County Cup final and League Cup final in our final year. So we really was a good team. But it was his knowledge of football that I very much turned to when we were chatting afterwards. And he would give me a lot of advice and talk to that I'd listen to. And I really did appreciate that. And then finally, a guy called Dave Gooding, who was manager, and twice I've run through teams, and twice he's been the manager above me. So as I've run through, he was a year above, then I ran through again, and he was a year above. And we both ran through at the same time, because my very first team, his son was in my team, but then I stayed down a year, and then he took on that team. But it was, I think the mentor-mentee relation with myself and Dave went both ways. Yeah. We give each other advice and take each other's advice. And I think those 4 were very key in my sort of learning stages of being a manager. What about you? I mean, I know you've mentioned myself, but I mean, you argue James as well?
James, definitely. And then you could also look at Bernie. I've learned a lot off of Bernie, Mark Yeoman. So all these people who've got the experiences. And now it's a case of I learn a lot. Again, it's meant a mutual respect, but you learn a lot. I learned a lot from Ben at Red Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
I said Scott at Bristol Rovers. Stuart Ormsby, I've learned an awful lot from, and I could always go to Stu for advice as well. And any of those, so you have that relationship outside the club that is generally people I respect who want to go for advice. So yeah, James. But again, I speak to, like I said, the 2 gentlemen who are now helping with the under-10s, but I'll go to them for advice if I want it, and they'll give it. Not that for them, maybe their experience that they've got with coaching a team, but in life as well, and what they've seen, and generally. And then you can look at Grono here as well, because again, as you get into older, say somebody like and Wits, I learn an awful lot from them because they've got more experience with, playing, say, the adults team and the playing as they get older. So with Bradley and Corey and stuff like that, I take more of a backward steps and say Wits and Dave, because they've had more experience, more relevant, close experience of playing 11-a-side towards adult football. And certainly I haven't been able to play football for 30 years now. So my thing of playing certainly 11v11 is 30 years old.
Yes.
And I only played it for 2 or 3 years before I got injured. So I tried to get it from, like I said, mentee, but from anybody really who's got the experience. And I will listen to, and like you said, you can take bits off. Right, okay, that I get that. I'll do that, and bang, bang, bang. You don't have to agree with all of it. I mean, James is a perfect example. He's got great experience, great knowledge, and everything like that. He has this thing, and I still struggle with it now, is that the children have to play in different positions, and he plays everybody. I've done it with some. I cannot do it with it. I struggle with say a girl who wants to play in defence. He tries to move her from defence. She's almost in tears. And James says, no, you've got to persist and you've got to do it. I can't. I just can't do it. Because I just can't.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunate because you didn't do it early, because we are already doing that. We are, if you look, we're actually keeping records almost of, okay, who's gone in goal, who's gone in defence, who's gone in midfield. So we're moving our players around. This is under 8s. Yeah. The under 8 girls are moving around during the game. But we're not doing it for the game. Because our games are either 20-minute halves. We're doing sort of 10-minute quarters. Yeah. Just to give them, so that nobody's getting used to a position, but they're getting. No one can say this is my position, but they're also just getting that experience.
I mean,
and
we
it's
did-
it's, ours are just all friendlies. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, go 10 minutes here, and then in the training routines on a Saturday morning, it's all about a defending routine or an attacking routine. So they're all getting the
Yeah.
same coaching as well.
I mean, we did it.
But that's part of his mentoring to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, but the good thing is you're struggling with it, but you've taken it on board.
We are, and there's one player we played striker who's now one of our better defenders, if not our best defender. So we do. So we do it with some. We don't do it with because, and again, it's this thing. Unfortunately, with it's getting that balance right. I don't mind losing games, but I don't want them to get stuffed.
Yes.
And we're now, unfortunately, because we were, or still are, one of the best teams around, that when we come against a team, they would love to beat us 12-0. And virtually every team would love to beat us 12-0.
Yeah.
And if we did all these changes, we would lose 12-0.
Yeah.
And if I did that for 5 or 6 weeks, how many girls would not turn up? So it is getting that balance right of, well, yeah, I'm not going to play this girl as our striker or this girl as our defender, because if we do keep doing that and forever, we will lose maybe for 2 or 3 months 10-0 because they wouldn't let up on us. So I've got to get that balance in my mind. Get that balance right of, well, I don't mind losing 4-2 because we're doing a little bit, but I cannot do that wholesale change.
Yeah.
And I get where, say, Jane or people say, well, if you do it, eventually you'll go the other way. But how many of those girls will stick with us?
Yeah, I understand that.
And that's right. Okay, well, we've been.
But that's for you as the mentee to take on board his views and say, okay, yep, I've taken your views on board. This is how I'm doing it. As the mentee, I'm putting it with my sort of twist on it. That twist is the wrong word in that
Yeah,
sense,
but no.
but you know, I've got to be considerate of the girls', I hesitate to do a mental state, but thought processes.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's a better word. The girls' thought process is that after 3 or 4 absolute tankings, some of them are going to say, I'm not coming this week because I don't want to go through that again. I don't mind playing that position, but not if we're going to get absolutely annihilated. So yeah, as the manager, you've taken the mentor's advice, but you've also got to consider the bigger picture. You've got to have that holistic approach, haven't you?
Yeah.
So absolutely. All right, finally, we'll go look at people you've mentored. And again, I'll from my point of view, I'll be honest, formally, no one, I don't think. But generally, I did the TOTS for a number of years. So the number of managers who then took on teams after me. I've been the welfare officer at the club for a number of years as well. So many managers come to me for advice. Especially, again, it's the younger ones. Not once they've been here 4 or 5 years, that barely stops. But as a person on the committee, a senior person on the committee, many managers will talk to me and I'll offer that advice and guidance. Within my own team now, the girls, I think there's probably 3 who I offer specific advice to. Marios knows quite a lot and I'll just give him some guidance, but certainly Simon and Rachel, I haven't sort of set up a formal relationship with them, but like, for instance, on Saturday, I stood with Rachel and was saying, okay, this is why I've done this. And then I talked to some of the players, and I was saying, oh, okay, so can you see a pass? Can you do this? And then I explained to Rachel why I'd done that, and she was like, yeah, totally see that. And then we made a change. I said, okay, this is why I've done this. So I actually deliberately standing. So it wasn't mentoring in the sense of asking her to find solutions, but it was that guidance as in, this is why I've done that, so that you can now, because for listeners, she also is involved in another team. She can then take the guidance of watching me doing my team, which she also does support on, but then go to her team and go, okay, I've seen that. How can I do it with the team that she actually does run? And then with Simon, exactly the same with Simon. I work with Rachel on Saturday, so I'll probably work with Simon at the next game and sit and stand and talk to him and say, okay, here's what I suggest. I saw you in action on the last game. This is how I would perhaps do this, just so you're aware of this, this, and this. And we'll have that conversation. And he might not take it on board, he might do. But those are the two that I would suggest currently that I'm mentoring. Again, none of these are. I don't think I've ever had a formal mentor-mentee relationship. But I mean, in terms of who you think you're mentoring, who have you mentored or have you mentored generally? I know you have. Because we discussed it at the very start. The girls come back to it. And are you currently, do you think, mentoring at the moment?
I would currently mentoring at the moment. Yeah, because we've got the new under 10 girls team. Mm-hmm. So there's Paul, Mike, and Rachel's involved with that as well. Yep. So those three. Again, Rich and Tom, part of but they're pretty much there now. But again, being head of the girls, I mean, I still think I mentor I'll hate it, my younger brother Adam.
Yes.
He asks me questions at least once, twice a week. We'll say a week, Adam, just, we won't say it's freaking hourly, will we? But Adam, again, I think will be an amazing mentor, and I'm sure he's mentoring people. So I think actually you've got that. I'm helping Adam, and Adam's helping XYZ people.
Yes, because they're the juniors.
Yeah.
And they've also got the Wanderers that they've created. So I'm sure he's mentoring.
He must be doing that, and
yes.
he's doing an amazing job. And again, like I said, the under 11 girls, and now they've got. Granted, the new Wanderers manager, Paul, is he's got experience from managing another team.
And I think you're advising the under 7 girls, James.
Yeah,
and
James
I will actually
and Paul.
go in. I've also given James advice and guidance as well. So I think between us, we're actually advising the under 7 girls.
We're getting there with.
Because we've both got sort of a kind of involvement in there, because you train them as well as James, and then I train next to them, so we're kind of all there together.
And again,
in that
it'll
sense.
Be part of it, and how the circle, you go full circle. Again, probably the under 6s, under 7, but under 6s now. We'll say they're under 6s girls. They're not an official team. Will be Adam, and will be pretty 99% sure will be assisted by Bradley and Corey.
That'd be quite nice. Yeah.
And so that circle, in fact, Bradley and Corey will probably end up being the managers of that team. Part of, again, their Bristol City.
With Adam guiding them.
With Adam guiding them, because Adam's youngest daughter will
with
play.
Adam and yourself, and possibly some input from myself, just purely because I'm there.
And so that full circle of mentor all the way through. And that's how it should work. And, you've got... I no doubt will try and get Emmy involved with it as well, depending on where she goes. So there's all.
Actually, that's a good point. Sorry to interrupt there. We've all talked about lots of men, lots of boys. I know we said about Rachel, but it actually would be quite nice to get Emmy involved in terms of mentoring some of the younger girls. From that point of view, I think that would be quite nice. Again, we've got some girls who help out with the training, so it'd be quite nice if a few of them got involved.
As they get older, that'll be the plan. I think.
But as not just as coaches, but as mentors to the younger girls. So it's not just about coaching, but giving them more advice and guidance of a wider aspect.
From on a Wildcat session, we have up to 6 or 7 of the older girls who, Phoebe, Lexi, Immy, Pearl, Harriet, Tabitha.
Yeah, Harriet came to our game on Sunday and was there warming up my girls and was giving them some advice and guidance. So that's nice.
And so that's the way you're looking for is to encourage. And again, it's that being part of that community. So we've got the Christmas disco in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, majority will turn up for the girls, so the younger girls will know. Virtually girls all the way up. We also are big ones of Duke of Edinburgh. That is part of that, so we're doing that as well. So again, for the men, and it all helps. So it's all good.
Brilliant. Okay, I think we've come to the end of our discussion on mentoring. Unless you've got anything else you'd like to add, or anything else you can.
No, and again, I think for being a mentor, you don't necessarily have to be a coach. Is what I would say. If there's certainly if there's anybody listening from Fries, a female, the more females we could get is fantastic, because there'll be more as the girls generally within the club are getting older. the more women they can speak to and stuff, I think is highly important.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, man, it is well worth doing it because you a word, 5 minutes of your time could change somebody's life.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think the most important is like offering your I think it's more like I said, it's offering your experience and your life experience, your guidance, just sort of generally. Whether the mentee chooses to take that on board,
That's
it is up to them. Yeah, it's being there and it's communicating and trying to tease out. It's trying to get them to tease out their own solutions. That's the key point, isn't it? However you offer it, whatever advice and guidance you offer, it's so that they, the mentee, can get their solution. So that they and through it they learn and develop themselves. Yeah. All right, Mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
enjoyed that
everybody.
solution. Yeah. Thank you all. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll be back soon. So for me, that's all from me, Andy Glover, and
from me. Yeah, thank you. Goodbye.
thank you. Goodbye, and we'll listen out for us next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Don't forget, you can email us your questions, comments, random thoughts, anything you want to share with us at greengrassroots@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at Fry Club JFC, on Facebook, which is Fry Club Junior FC, and the club website, which is www.fryclubjfc.co.uk. You can type out a review on Apple Podcasts, and if you like us, then please give us 5 stars on Spotify. You've been listening to a We Haven't Got a Clue What We're Doing production, produced and edited by Andy Glover.